war. War never changes.
With the world plunged into decades of resource wars throughout the 21st century, the Marine Cooper Howard fought on the front lines of the Sino-American War in Alaska, where his malfunctioning power armor left him at the mercy of Chinese soldiers until saved by a monstrous demon in the snow, later called a Death Claw. The result of highly classified genetic experiments, Death Claws were created by the Enclave, a secret organization of powerful, deep state government officials using the resources of the United States government to enact their private agenda. In addition to waging war against China over the Alaskan oil fields, America's ever-growing need to secure the world's dwindling supply of natural resources led them to expand their territorial control of North America, invading Mexico in 2051 and annexing Canada in 2072. Fiercely resisting this aggression, the Canadians launched a 5-year guerrilla war, causing America to remove uncooperative citizens from their homes, like when they sent Stephanie Harper and her mother Joanne to the Uranium City internment camp. Desperate for freedom, Stephanie and her mother joined in a widespread escape attempt, but were nearly apprehended until a Canadian freedom fighter suicide-bombed an enemy soldier in power armor. Gravely wounded from the blast, Joanne instructed her daughter to continue south across the border and survive by any means necessary, even if it meant violence, saying, "Don't think of them as human beings, think of them as Americans." Yet even as the world spiraled toward its end, progress marched on in Las Vegas, where Robert House, the billionaire genius founder of Robco Industries, tested a mind control device on a random working man, forcing him to kill his 2 companions. Yet when the man started to resist the device lodged into the back of his neck, House increased the signal, which caused the man's head to explode. Though the device was not perfected, House offered it to Vault-Tec in exchange for their cold fusion technology, sending his body double with a sample to the executive Barbara Howard, who was not aware of these plans, and so later instructed her secretary to gather all the information she could about the technology. Yet any misgivings she had about this deal forcibly vanished when she was visited by Dr. Siggy Wilzig, who delivered a message on behalf of the Enclave, who controlled Vault-Tec, threatening her family if she forgot her place in the company, before instructing her to attend a meeting with other corporate executives and say the only way to guarantee results from their doomsday plans was to drop the bomb themselves. Worried for her family, Barbara did as instructed, unaware her husband Cooper Howard listened in to the corporate meeting. Shocked by the discussion, Cooper picked up his daughter Janie and fled to a meeting with the anti-Vault-Tec scientist Miss Williams. Missing several key pieces of information, Miss Williams assumed Robert House wanted cold fusion to power his nuclear arsenal, and so tasked Cooper Howard with returning home, playing the good husband, and joining his wife on her trip to Vegas so he could assassinate the billionaire and save the world. Hesitant about committing murder, Cooper nonetheless returned home and later attended a veterans event where the boring but good-hearted Congresswoman Diane Welch presented his friend Charlie Whiteknife a commemorative lighter. As it so happened, Robert House knew of all that occurred, and waited in the bathroom so he could meet Cooper Howard without revealing his identity. After this bizarre encounter, Cooper confided in his friend Charlie, who encouraged him to complete the mission for the greater good. Conflicted, Cooper joined his wife on her trip to Vegas, but refused the poison offered by Miss Williams, saying he would stop the sale of cold fusion without resorting to murder. Summoned to a private meeting, Cooper learned Robert House had no intention to launch nukes and actually wanted cold fusion to preserve his life indefinitely and save Las Vegas through a missile defense system, as he created a predictive mathematical paradigm that foresaw the inevitability of nuclear annihilation. Constantly updating the paradigm with new information, House stayed informed by installing monitoring devices in many products like military power armor, which meant he knew about the Deathclaw incident in Alaska. Skeptical Vault-Tec would initiate the apocalypse, he believed Cooper Howard would somehow be involved, as the mathematical model finished its calculation on the day Janie was born, and the date for the end of the world advanced a month when Cooper bought his ticket to Vegas. Confounded by Cooper's role in what was to come, House suspected there was an unknown player at the table, even more informed and powerful than himself, who may be manipulating events from the shadows, unknowingly predicting the Enclave's involvement in what was occurring. Unable to accept the truth, Cooper fled and drank until he passed out, later waking next to his wife in their hotel room. At his breaking point, Cooper confronted his wife, calling her a monster for her role in Vault-Tec's plans. Distraught by his accusations, Barbara defended herself, claiming the end of the world was being orchestrated by much larger powers and so would happen regardless of her involvement. Therefore, she must play her part to ensure the safety of their family. Yet Cooper refused to allow this to continue, and so got Hank McClane drunk in order to access the secured briefcase attached to his arm. Finding an extractor gun, Barbara arrived and removed the cold fusion diode hidden in the back of Hank's head, after which they called a hotel maid to bring Hank back to his room. As it so happened, the maid was Stephanie Harper, who asked about getting a job at Vault-Tec, and so Cooper directed her to speak with Hank. The next day, Cooper met with Diane Welch to discuss what to do with cold fusion, and the congresswoman offered to arrange a meeting so he could hand it directly to the President of the United States, who might use it for the betterment of all and end the resource wars plaguing the world. Eager to do the right thing, Cooper agreed and gave up the diode, unaware the President was a member of the Enclave, and he just handed cold fusion to the people plotting the nuclear apocalypse. Content to think they'd saved the world, Cooper and Barbara learned Hank and Stephanie stayed up all night talking and hastily got engaged, offering their congratulations before starting to depart Las Vegas. Yet before they could leave, Cooper was warned by Mr. House that something bad was about to happen, and so he instructed his wife to deny any involvement and let him take the fall for sake of their daughter. Cooper was then arrested by agents of the House Un-American Activities Committee, likely arranged by the Enclave to discredit this major celebrity who tried to act against them. 2 centuries later, after the nuclear annihilation of the Great War, some descendants of survivors tried to rebuild civilization, establishing the new California Republic with the town of Shady Sands as their capital. A prosperous settlement with good-natured residents, they unknowingly made an enemy of the Vault-Tec junior executive Hank McClane, who survived the long years in a Vault 31 cryopod until he awoke, moved to Vault 33, married a woman named Rose, and had a daughter Lucy and son Norm. Though Hank thrived as a leader of their community, his wife discovered people on the surface were siphoning their water supply, which meant civilization had returned. Hank dismissed her conclusion, and so she left her husband and brought the children to live in Shady Sands. Outraged by this betrayal, Hank took back his children and orchestrated the destruction of Shady Sands in 2283 by attaching a mind control device to a man so he would transport a nuclear bomb to the town. Though the father of young Maximus found and tried to disarm the bomb, he triggered a failsafe, and so put his son in a fridge for protection, and said a tearful goodbye to his wife before the bomb exploded and wiped out Shady Sands, which led to the decline and fall of the NCR. Over a decade later, Lucy McClane left Vault 33, originally searching for her kidnapped father, until she learned he was responsible for the destruction of Shady Sands, and so joined the Ghoul, formerly known as Cooper Howard, along with their canine companion Dogmeat, to track down Hank and bring him to justice. The Ghoul, however, was only concerned with questioning Hank McClane to learn the whereabouts of his family, as his wife worked for Vault-Tec and so was likely cryo-frozen and still alive after all these years, possibly sheltered inside an underground Vault-Tec office in New Vegas. Following Hank's trail, the team ran low on supplies and so killed and robbed the great Khans of Novak, though Lucy tried and failed to ask for help and avoid bloodshed, later claiming she was trying to remain a good person. Upon reaching the Starlight Drive-In, they found Vault 24, where the residents wore mind control devices which turned them into communists. And while the population was dead, they found a kidnapped wastelander who wore a device and delivered a message from Hank, asking Lucy to go home before his head exploded. Continuing on their journey, they next heard screams coming from a hospital, where they found 2 injured people in tunics. The Ghoul showed disdain for them and killed the male, but Lucy protected the female, even giving up her last stim pack. They then fought off a rad scorpion attack, which left the Ghoul with a painful injury. Upset by his selfish behavior, Lucy left the Ghoul to suffer while she escorted the woman home. Still naive to the ways of the wasteland, Lucy traveled to a Roman-style legion camp, where they almost immediately killed the slave woman and brought Lucy before their leader, Kaisar, to discuss the rights to her virginity. Yet upon learning she was not a virgin, the legate, who was second in command of their army, dragged her away, explaining that when their original leader died, the Legion broke into two camps with two rival Kaisars, each trying to secure the body of their predecessor, as he had written the name of his successor on a note which remained in his pocket. Yet the enemy camps were in a stalemate, as no one could approach the body without getting shot by the other side. Though Lucy offered to help mediate the conflict, they instead crucified her and left her to die from heat and dehydration. Meanwhile, the ghoul used a knife to extract the stinger in his wound so he could start healing, and set off to enlist some NCR soldiers to help save Lucy, who he learned was being held by the Legion. Although he was upset, the ghoul still needed Lucy as a bargaining chip to exchange with her father for information about his family. Journeying to the abandoned NCR settlement of Camp Gulf, he found Robert House's Victor Securitron, who said there were NCR rangers in the nearby hills. And while he was recognized by an NCR soldier and given extra vials of medicine to keep him from turning feral, they lacked the manpower to offer any assistance, and even tried and failed to recruit his help in contacting a lost battalion in the east. Moving on to Plan B, the ghoul went directly to the Legion camp and traded the location of the NCR Rangers for the life of Lucy McLean. Yet the ghoul did not actually want to help the Legion, and so as he left with Lucy, he used a lighter given to him by Charlie Whiteknife to light a fuse connected to a large stash of dynamite, blowing up the barrier between the opposing camps, starting an all-out battle between them. The ghoul then took Lucy to the NCR camp, where they gave her the drug Buff-Out to recover from her injuries, but also created an addiction that made her more aggressive, hostile, and reckless. As the Rangers were about to leave the area, they offered the duo all the guns and ammo they couldn't carry, which Lucy used to wipe out the feral ghouls, blocking their way to New Vegas. Upon entering the abandoned city, they found it occupied by Deathclaws and so hastily ran away, escaping under a locked gate to the still populated Freeside, where Lucy stole a dick doll to cure her addiction and killed the man who murdered the previous shop owner. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Sir Rick Lone, Barachado, Raj the Jar, and Kristen Greeneyes of the Company of the Cat. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos, and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.